Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for the lateness. I've actually just come back from the Emirates. Shout out to Qatar Airways for getting me to the game today. I was sitting in hospitality. Look, man, Emirates hospitality, man. It treated your boy nicely, but today I had to be there in the flesh to watch what I think are on form this season and on performances, the two best teams in Europe, Bayern Munich and Arsenal Football Club. And boy, this game did not disappoint. Arsenal 3, Bayern 1. Now, before I get into this, let me just say this. This is not a decider for who's going to win the Champions League. Far from it. We're early days. This is not a decider for who is the best team in the world, even though I think it's a huge statement win for Arsenal. It's not the end of the world for Bayern Munich. I don't think we should be making too many sweeping statements about both teams based off this one game in particular. However, having said that, this did tell me one thing. Arsenal this season are equipped to go deep in every single competition. Every single one. And quite simply, I think the reason for it is the versatility in ways they can kill you. Pick your poison. There's teams in the past that will kill you by a million passes. There's teams in the past that will kill you by counterattacks. There's teams in the past that will kill you by defensive ruthlessness, right? There's teams in the past that will kill you from wing play. What makes this Arsenal team, this iteration of Arsenal Football Club under Mikel Arteta in 2025, so dangerous and so potent and so special is that they can kill you in a variety of ways. And today was the perfect encapsulation of such. We look at that first 45 minutes. Bayern Munich went to the Emirates today and did something that I don't think a single team has done against Arsenal all season long. They outpossessed them. 70% possession for Bayern in that first half. I think that was the stat, right? 71% possession for Bayern Munich, right? What they did with the ball or not, we can go on to talk about that. But to have that much of the ball against Arsenal is a testament to what company has done at Bayern. I think it's a testament to how much this team has grown. They keep the ball up there with the best of them. And for large periods of that game, it was Bayern swinging it around the back, getting it through midfield, trying to pick and probe one kind of hole in this Arsenal team. And as impressive as that was, Arsenal really didn't give up anything. I was talking to Camo over the phone, right? And he was saying, wow, this Bayern team is really, really good. And I said, yeah, they're good. But at the same time, I feel like there hasn't really been any kind of no one has really picked out a killer pass, right? No one has really done anything to trouble Arsenal too much. He said, yeah, but to be fair, it's 71% possession at the Emirates. I'm like, you know what? That is true. That's a good point, right? It's not like City went there and did that. City basically were penned back so much, they had to completely concede possession. So I'll give company credit for that. Bayern kept the ball extremely well, and they keep the ball extremely well against everyone, right? But I think more impressive than that was the fact that Arsenal, for the most part, kept Bayern at bay for most of that first half. And if anything, even though they didn't have much of the ball, they were the ones creating the more dangerous situations. Arsenal set up today in the most vicious mid-block you will see. Right? Bayern pressing it out from the back. And Arsenal are making players like Neuer, players like Upamecano, these are top players in build-up. Upamecano is one of the best ball-playing center backs in the game. Manuel Neuer, for my money, is a top 3 ball-playing goalkeeper I have seen in my life. And yet these guys had them forcing them into mistakes simply because of how good and organized their press was. And a lot of their chances that they were creating were winning the ball high up in Bayern's half out of their build-up, and then creating chances from that. It's not like they were getting the ball 50 passes and then splitting Bayern apart with a killer pass. But that's the point of Arsenal. There are games where they can do that. There are games where they can beat you off corners, which we'll talk about. There are games where they'll beat you with their press. They're just so dangerous in so many different ways. And especially in the Champions League, where it's all about matchups and it's all about game planning for certain individuals and certain teams, Arsenal seem like they have an answer for most teams. That's scary. But ultimately, the goal comes in the most Arsenal way possible in the past few years. And that's not a diss at them before people say, oh, we're more than set piece. Obviously, right? But I was at the Emirates today. It's my first time actually watching Arsenal's first team at the Emirates. The only time I went to the Emirates to watch a game were the Arsenal under-21s versus the City under-21s in the FA Youth Cup. I can't remember what it was, right? It was actually Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly were playing that day, right? But this is my first time actually watching Arsenal's first team in the ground. So I watched them on TV. I'm not really sure what to expect. Arsenal get a corner in that first half. I think it was their first corner at that point, maybe their second. And something happened that I have never experienced before in my life. The ball went out of play off of a Bayern Munich player. The referee points to the corner flag and the entire stadium just comes alive. It was the craziest. Whoa. You would think Arsenal got a penalty. You would think Arsenal got a free kick on the top of the... You would think Arsenal just forced a crazy save out of nowhere. You would think Arsenal scored. That's the reality here. The noise that you heard from Arsenal getting a corner was equal to the noise Arsenal make when they score a goal. And the reality is here, guys, a corner for Arsenal is almost as good as a goal. The whole stadium gets to their feet. Everyone's making noise. You're seeing the players rev up the fans. I'm thinking, gee, what's going on here, man? This is like an out-of-body experience. Lo and behold, corner comes in. Jurrien Timber gets on the end of it. 1-0 Arsenal. The stadium lights up. And, you know, this was something I highlighted over the weekend when Bayern played Freiburg. I made a video on that, and I said both goals that Freiburg scored were off set pieces, off corners. And it's been one of the Achilles heels in this Bayern Munich team. They are not great at defending from set pieces. And I warned that, look, similar mishaps against Arsenal will be punished far more frequently. This is the best set piece team in the game. This is the best set piece team I have seen. Lo and behold, the first corner goal, Jurrien Timber, who in my opinion, I know Declan Rice won man of the match, and we'll talk about him. I think Timber was a very strong contender for that as well too, because he had Gnabry on toast. He completely locked him up. Then Olise went on that side. I think he managed him quite well. Was never really under any difficulty. Carried the ball out the back extremely well, linked up extremely well, and then grabs his goal. Fantastic performance from Timber, which is just becoming the norm, right? But give credit to Bayern. After that goal, they still kept the ball for the most part, right? And there was one player on Bayern today that, wow, watching him today was actually an honor. I hope that in 10 years, this kid becomes everything and more I think he can be, because I'll be able to say I was at one of his first games as a first team player where he showed the world what he's capable of. Lennart Karl. Oh my goodness. He grabs the goal, right? Which was a rare mishap from Arsenal defensively. Long ball over the top from Kimmich. Fantastic pass. Lewis Skelly, who I thought was really poor today, completely misreads the flight of the ball. Falls to the feet of Gnabry, who does a fantastic cross across the box. And Lennart Karl is on job to finish at the back post. Great goal. But just in general, man, this kid is special. This kid is really special in terms of his feel for the game, his intelligence, the way he picks his moments, his first touch. He had this one touch, right, coming out of the sky, players around him, and he like Cruyff turns it mid-air a la Zidane. That was all I needed to see to confirm to me that this is a special, special player. And it's been a good week for youngsters, right? Esteval, what he did yesterday against Barcelona, of course, and what Lennart Karl did in his cameo today. Fantastic stuff, man. I was really, really impressed with him. For a 17-year-old, again, I didn't know who this guy was last season. For a 17-year-old to be playing this many games this early on to his Bayern career and then going to grounds like the Emirates against teams like Arsenal and still showing out. And let's not get it twisted as well, too. Arsenal are a huge team. They're a team of grown men, physical athletes. This Lennart Karl kid, I'd be shocked if he's taller than 5'5". He's minuscule, right? But he's a player. There's instances where he's getting himself involved. Long balls, he's holding off Mosquera. On the ball, he's creating chances. He's getting into good positions. I was really impressed with him today, man. But he gets them back into the game. And you know what? On the basis of playing the first half, I actually think it was a fair result. I think 1-1 was a fair result. I think Bayern ended the game, the half, stronger than Arsenal. And I think they would have probably been happy with their performance. The second half now comes along, though, and I think Arsenal completely switched the game on its head. They came out the much more intense team. They came out the much more intent team on the ball. They started to get a much better grip of the football. And all of a sudden, it was Bayern chasing Arsenal players rather than the other way around. It was Arsenal who were getting the ball into dangerous positions, and it was last-ditch tackles from Bayern players that were stopping them from getting good opportunities. The game completely switched after halftime, and I think a big part of it was first and foremost Declan Rice really getting a foothold of that game in the second half, because I think in the first half he spent a lot of time not chasing it, but he was shuffling because Arsenal were defending as a unit, Bayern are swinging it back and forth. You don't really get to see much of Declan Rice. The second half, I think he started to really flex his muscles a little bit, get on the ball more, break up play a whole lot more, and I think he won that battle between himself and Kimmich. When maybe in the first half you could have suggested Kimmich was probably getting the better of it, but the second half I think was a completely different story, and I have to give credit to Mikel Arteta. We're talking about versatility with this Arsenal team. It's not only versatility in tactics, but it's versatility in players. And the big story of Arsenal's season this year, in my opinion, is depth. Last season, a big thing that was hit with them was that when injuries happened, they didn't have the necessary replacements to come into the team and maintain the level, right? If Saka goes out the team, they're hopeless. If Odegaard goes out the team, they're hopeless. God forbid if Declan Rice goes out the team, if Gabriel goes out the team, they're hopeless. And that's ultimately a big contributing factor as to why their title aspirations fell to the wayside so early on. And maybe even in the Champions League, they didn't have enough against PSG. This year, there's been numerous injuries continuing to happen at Arsenal, but the replacements coming in are able to maintain that brilliant level. Namely, Madueke came into this game. I actually told Mercel, who I was with today, I think if Madueke comes on, he's going to make an impact. Grabs the winner. Calafiori, starting all throughout the season, but in this instance where Skelly didn't play a great game, Calafiori comes in. You don't get a sniff out of Olise after that, and he gets the assist for Madueke at the far post. Martinelli comes in. Martinelli grabs the third goal, despite it being an error from Manuel Neuer. More so than just that, right? Gabriel is injured at the moment. We saw Hincapie at the weekend play fantastic, and we've seen Mosquera numerous times come in for him and look equally fantastic. Ben White came in today for Timber. Gyökeres is out the team. Marino plays up front. The fact that Saka played a pretty average game today for his standards and came off the pitch, and no one around me was really that bothered about it, tells you that Arsenal are not reliant on individuals anymore. They have a squad that can carry them throughout games, that can change games for them on the fly, and that's going to ensure that in every competition they're in, they have a very good chance of going deep. And I think a depth and the summer window they had is a huge reason for it. Ultimately, Arsenal grabbed this win 3-1. I think in the second half, they were far the dominant team. They played a really, really good game. And I think it's a deserved result. And it's a result that just reaffirms that this is one of, if not the best team in the game at the moment. They're in a terrific moment in terms of form, in terms of momentum, in terms of atmosphere. I mean, Emirates today, man, these guys are having the time of their lives. I'm a United fan sitting amongst tons of Arsenal fans, jealous out of my mind. The vibes that they got at that club right now is crazy. But yeah, this was a big moment for them. And I always go back to that game against Real Madrid last season at the Emirates, in fact. And I made this no secret. I thought Real Madrid were going to wash them. I thought when it comes to Champions League heritage, these guys aren't ready to go up against Real Madrid. I think that win over that entire tie, I think it got them over a mental hurdle, in my opinion, of going into European games as maybe the inferior opposition from a mental point of view. We know Arsenal are a fantastic side, but for me, there was always that question mark about going up against these big European giants. Could they go toe-to-toe with them from a mental point of view? For me, a few years ago, they played Bayern in the quarterfinals under Thomas Tuchel, season where they finished second or third. And I thought they should win based on quality, but I think Bayern had a little bit too much experience, a little too much know-how. But I think that Real Madrid game last season was really a getting over the hump mentally moment. They got the monkey off their back in terms of this Champions League hoodoo of them. And I think this season, you're seeing that up against Atletico Madrid, washing them 4-0. Up against Bayern Munich today, a great team, a team that hadn't lost up to this point this season. Taking care of business as well, too. I feel like this is an Arsenal team that at the moment, anyone they go up against, they believe they can beat. And that kind of mental resilience, that kind of mentality in general will take you far in competitions. But I want to talk about Bayern a little bit, right? First and foremost, first half, pretty good. Second half, fell off. I don't want this to be a thing where people have almost been hoping for Bayern to slip up so that they could say, oh, their entire run this season was Bundesliga tax. I knew they weren't that good. This just shows it. Bayern are average. Please, guys, right? Just like one win today wouldn't have just meant Bayern are going to win the Champions League. One loss today, in my opinion, doesn't change that much for me either. However, I think it does kind of tell me a few things. First and foremost, I think there's a real lack of quality in the fullback position. I think Limer has actually had a really good season. I have to say that. So let me not disrespect Limer, even though I didn't think he played the greatest game. I think Stanisic, I'm waiting for Alphonso Davies to come back. I think he, at the moment, is very clearly the weak link in that team. So for me, I felt like he was a real glaring weakness in that team. Luis Diaz was missed today as well, too. Not only in terms of his work on the ball, but off the ball. I think when you talk about the intensity, especially in the second half of Arsenal, Luis Diaz is Bayern's best presser. He's their hardest worker. He covers so much ground. And I didn't think Gnabry, bar his assist, was all that effective. I think Diaz would have added a special impact on the game. But ultimately, I mean, I'm looking at the striker as well, too, Harry Kane. For me, not good enough. Today is the first day in his entire career that he played against Arsenal and failed to have a shot. If in general, I know, look, Harry Kane has made a career and a name for being a guy who drops deep and impacts the game in different ways, and he's been terrific at that this season. But I think today, this is where one of the question marks and one of the concerns I have for Kane really rears its head. In these games where I feel like as a center forward, you need to be able to get your team up the pitch, hold off defenders, lay it off for other guys, get others involved, and just kind of give your team a little bit of a breather at times, right? I don't think Kane did enough of that. First and foremost, more often than not, he was way deeper than Lennart Karl and Olise, but not in a way that I really felt he was adding anything for Bayern from a possession point of view. But then on the odd occasion, when the ball is coming to him in the air or on the ground and Mosquera's on his back and Saliba's on his back, I think he was far too weak in those duels, in those moments where he can just get the ball, lay it off to Olise, and his team can go. I don't think he did enough in that sense. And that's the thing for me with Kane that always kind of leaves me wanting more. He's such a fantastic player. He's such a fantastic goal scorer. He's one of the best players in the world. And this season, he's having an amazing season. But for me, in games like this, of this magnitude, I want to see more from Kane. I feel like when the game gets really physical and really ugly, I don't think he's at his absolute best, personally. I think this is a game state that favors much more a guy like Erling Haaland, who I think would have given Saliba and Mosquera far more problems from this perspective than Kane did. Now, we know from the perspective of dropping deep and playing runners in, that's Kane's game. Haaland can't do that. But today, I think Kane needed to take a leaf out of someone like Haaland's book. And I think he would have been much more effective for his team. Olise, I see a lot of people questioning him. I thought Olise in the first half was very, very bright. I thought Lewis Kelly was awful today. Out of all the Arsenal players, I think he had a really, really poor game. I think his awareness, he wasn't up for it, honestly. I don't know whether it's a time out the team, coming back in, he's a bit rusty. I'm not sure, but he wasn't good today. And I think Olise got the better out of him most times. I think once Calafiori came in, Olise started to quiet and Bayern got less of the ball. But overall, again, I don't think it's a game that you can really take too much away from Olise. I don't think it's really a game you can make too many sweeping statements about Bayern in general, honestly. If this game was played at the Allianz on a different day, they might have won, right? But ultimately, I think this was a fair result for Arsenal. Overall, dominant over the 90 minutes. I think they were on average the better team, created the better chances, got the better opportunities. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But one thing's for sure, Arsenal are a serious team, bro. I feel like a lot of people are holding off really just saying it. Maybe because Arsenal have scarred so many people over the last few seasons that thought they were going to go all the way, and one way or another it didn't happen. Maybe people are almost like too afraid to put all their eggs back in the Arsenal basket. But I think sometimes when a team or a player shows you who they are, I always say believe it. That's both ways, by the way, right? A team like Liverpool, who I'm going to talk about tomorrow after I watch their game. But when a team tells you who they are a certain amount of times, you got to believe them. What Arsenal are showing me this season, this is not a fluke. This is not a good moment for them. I think this is just who they are, man. They're a team with very few weaknesses, with a variety of ways of beating you, with several players throughout their squad that they can call upon, and with a damn good manager as well, too, right? At the end of the day, it comes down to the coach. Mikel Arteta is a serious coach, man. He's a serious, serious coach. And when you talk about a coach that just finds a way of, it's the margins. Honestly, it's really the margins of Arteta. He is so intricate. He's so precise. He's so obsessed with every single margin of a football game. For his team, for the opposite team, limiting the opposition's chances of breaking him down, strengthening his side, like in terms of putting such a priority on in terms of set pieces. Like, he is so obsessed with the details. And the end result is an Arsenal team that, from almost every single regard, they just look so well drilled. I give massive credit to Mikel Arteta for that. And honestly, being able to see this Arsenal team at the Emirates today, which I haven't been able to do since I've come to the UK, seeing the vibe around this football club right now, seeing them go toe-to-toe, better than toe-to-toe, with Bayern Munich, a side that I grew up, who used to bully these guys. Real Madrid, what he did last season. He's completely transformed this football club. I can safely say that after seeing today. He has, in terms of seeing it in the flesh, he has revived one of the biggest clubs in the country in a way that I never thought was possible. So Mikel Arteta, special coach. That's all from me for Arsenal versus Bayern. I went today as like a fan of the game. Honestly, I didn't go to it to see what was the press like and what was the out of position. I really just went to go see for what I think are the two best teams in the country, in the continent. I was impressed. I enjoyed my time. So I don't really have too much tactical insight to give you guys today. What I am going to do tomorrow morning, I'm waking up early and I'm going to watch as much of the PSG versus Spurs game as I can, and the Liverpool versus PSV game as I can. Because coming out of the ground, phone in my hand, seeing the results, PSG 5, Spurs 3, that looks like the game of the night. I have to watch that. And Liverpool. Guys, you know, in their last 3 games, they've lost 10-1 on aggregate. And people are telling me credit in the bank. I'm sorry. Yo, Slot. Surely this guy's on the brink, man. I have to watch back that game and see how badly it went wrong. Where did they go? How badly it went wrong. So I'll have another video for you guys tomorrow where I'm really going to break down those 2 games. But as for tonight, I went as a fan, man. I just went to enjoy the time. And I did. Really good game. So congratulations to Arsenal. And yeah, guys, get involved in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Who's your man of the match? Where do you think the game was won or lost for both teams? Thank you very much. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.